So I'm here with Filson Thomas, a friend and partner with Swiss Leaders Group. And Filson, I really admire how you are both a very professional and experienced leader, but also serving in a community. And you are really a servant leader. So welcome to this show.
Thank you, and great to be here.
You know, servant leadership, we might say, but you know, I don't have time for that. It's too philosophical. I have a business to run. I'm not an NGO. Is servant leadership relevant in the business?
Yeah, great. Absolutely. You see, many people think servant leadership is letting people do whatever they want, or inmates run the prison. But servant leadership is a lot more than that. In fact, if you look at Forbes magazine, top 100 happiest company to work for, what you will find there in most of those companies, they invest millions of dollars training their management and people into servant leadership. And because of servant leadership, what it does is it gets people excited because the leaders are serving the people to win and to become successful. And as the leaders serve people to become successful, company becomes more and more successful. And what's interesting is some of these investors, they look at this top 100 happiest company and they invest on that. And they always say they get the greatest return out of that set of investment because the sense of pride and the ownership that comes from people and the work they do.
Wow, this is really interesting, the results you can get. But how does it really work? Is it just letting people do whatever they want and showering them with money and bonuses? Now, how does servant leadership works?
Oh, of course not. You see, if you let people do what they want and hold someone else accountable for it, that's a recipe for disaster. So in servant leadership, what you're doing is you give them the task, you give them the goal, you cast the vision, and then you train and empower them to make decisions and do the work, and you hold them accountable. And with responsibility comes accountability. And as with that accountability, they will be more committed to do the work. But in the back of their mind, they know my management want me to be successful. So they know that I have cheerleaders cheering for me to become successful. And so they will believe in themselves more and do greater things.
Wow. Just my last question is, can we just trust anybody? I mean, this is a lot of responsibility we give them, the key of the house.
No. Well, you know what? Answer is like yes and no, because there's a certain level of trust you start with. There are two levels of trust. And the opening, which is the first level of trust is where you are just trusting people and you give them, and it's for them to lose. But then from there, you go to the greater level of trust where you're trusting them with your life. And at that point of time, that has to be earned. And as you perform in your first level of trust, you gain trust, and that's where you gain more responsibility and you keep climbing. So it's not an open check given to do whatever you want. You start with a certain level of trust, and from there on, you build or lose.
Wow, very, very interesting. Thanks for sharing all these points about servant leadership.